Hi everyone, Tracy here, and I'm going to scrapbook this panoramic photo which I have printed into 1.75 by 6 size using my at-home printer. I just used the fit feature on my software, which is iPhoto, and I'm just having a look through the Story I Heard kit, which has a lot of craft in it, so I really wanted this layout to pick up on really play with the craft color that came in the kit. It's been a while since I've used craft. I used to use it for backgrounds a lot and for accents a lot, but I think I've just kind of gotten away from it in my love of bright colors. So I'm going to kind of get back to this here. So I have picked out a couple of papers that I really love the way they look together, and I'm not necessarily coordinating with the photo here, just kind of picking some papers that I think will look beautiful with this craft background. So I'm going to use that basil paper. I'm just showing you this one is by Crepe Paper from Switchboard. This one is from Teresa Collins Daily Stories. This one is from Switchboard as well, and the navy blue one is also from Switchboard. This one is from My Mind's Eye, and I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to use it. That's that florally, it looks like it has berries. So I'm going to start by cutting off the manufacturer's strip from the basil cardstock, and it has a beautiful pearlized finish, but that might make my camera go out of the proper exposure, so I hope that this video turns out okay. On my little tiny LCD screen on my camera it looked awful, very overexposed, but I see now that it looks okay here so far. So I really love how this I Love You script paper from the Crepe Paper Style Board collection, love how it looks against this craft background. It just looks so soft and beautiful that I had to use that as my kind of background layered paper. So yeah, I just loved how those two look together, so I didn't want to put anything between them. Now I want to use some of this navy blue paper, which is from the Pink Paisley Switchboard collection, and I want to use it to kind of anchor or ground the photo, and I want it to be kind of like be a horizontal element in this layout, but I didn't necessarily want to get rid of the little step that's in it. This was cut into for another project, and I was kind of toying with the idea of just leaving it. Now here I wish I had cut this paper so that it ended in the middle of one of the squigglies instead of, it looks very contrived. I love interrupting patterns instead of having them be completed here. So I'm later on going to go back and trim that up. I just wasn't paying attention. And then I wanted it to hang down a little bit, but I wasn't entirely sure about that. So for now I'm going to leave it so that it extends past the I Love You paper, but eventually I'm going to trim it up and have it be within. So I want to use this craft tag which came in the kit. I love this tag, and two of them came in the kit, and I definitely want to use one of them in this layout because again I'm kind of playing around with craft. There's not going to be a ton of craft elements, but I plan to bring some of the craft embellishments into this layout, so it's not going to be overwhelming craft, but it's going to have more craft elements than most of my recent layouts. And so here I'm going to use this berry paper from My Mind's Eye, and I'm just matting it on the cardstock, not the cardstock, the chipboard frame that came in the kit from Pink Paisley. It's a sticker, and so once I stuck the paper on the sticker, it kind of mats very easily, so that was an easy thing to do. I just trimmed around it with my scissors, and that is a nice way to introduce that other, it's kind of like a floral pattern that kind of finishes off my selection of pattern paper here. I just wanted something else because the I Love You isn't really a pattern, and I mean it is, but I just wanted something that was more of a traditional type of a pattern paper, so I picked the berries. And so this is my main, I like how this is kind of coming together, so I just took a shot of it with my phone because I wanted to make sure that I can reassemble this after I do some outlining. And I'm going to do that outlining now. Now these papers that I use I use them as kind of my background for outlining so that I don't get any of my marker on my grid, on my Martha Stewart grid mat. And I also use them to write down my supplies. And as you notice, there's a bunch of tick boxes at the bottom, and I use that for just kind of keeping track of where I'm at in creating a video or a blog post or all the different things I have to do with these layouts in order to get them to you guys. So if you guys are interested in these layout ingredient forms, they're on my blog. There's a link to my blog in every video, and it's under Scrapbooking resources. There's a whole bunch of links to different things that I have that people have asked me for, and I just put them in a Dropbox folder so you can get them there in either Word format if you'd like to change it, because it is very specific to me. I'm looking for my Lumocolor pen and I couldn't find it, so I was going to use my American Crafts Slick Writer, but my daughter borrowed it and I forgot. The tip is all mangled. So then I luckily did find my Lumocolor pen. So you need a slick surface writer in order to outline on these finished pieces of chipboard, because it is a shiny surface that it's finished in. I did outline the navy blue paper, but I turned off my camera by accident, or forgot to turn it back on. So that is outlined. It's very subtle, but I do like to outline all of my papers if I'm outlining all of them. So back to the layout form, it is on my blog, so you can just go to Scrapbooking resources and check out either the PDF or the Word file. You'll probably want the Word file because it's very specific to me, and you probably don't want to do all the same things with your layouts that I do. So this is my big shot, and I'm using my Maggie Holmes embossing folder, which I love. There's a reason that I usually have those extra white pieces facing me instead of facing the back of my scrap table. You will find out what that reason is just about now. There you go. It knocks over my little container of pens every time I do it that way. Oh, you'd think I'd learn. Anyhow, I love how that looks. I'm going to turn off my camera and clean up those. And I also embossed the other one too because, oh, I didn't yet. I embossed the other one at some point because I loved the look of it so much that I decided I'm going to emboss it for whatever other thing I use the other craft tag on as well. So I'm just kind of playing around with placement again because, you know, I took it all apart to do my outlining. I'm not going to outline the craft tag because it's bold enough as it is. It doesn't really need outlining. It's very different in shading from everything else, so it stands out enough. And so this is pretty much back the way that I had it when I took the picture. Just tidying up a little bit as I go. And now I'm going to start by putting this piece on. I'm using more glue than usual here because that glossy pearlized paper is sometimes a little bit difficult to stick to. And you'll notice I moved the I Love You paper. Oh, there's Maya. People were asking about her, and coincidentally she decided to join me today. So I scooched that paper over a little bit so it hung over, and that is because I did not mean to outline that far right hand side because I want it to look like it's hanging off the edge of my paper, and by outlining it, it doesn't look like that. So when I positioned it, I just made it so that the outline hung over so that I could trim it off, and it does look like it's kind of just extending off. Here I go with cutting this down so that it interrupts the pattern instead of allowing the pattern to be complete. And now if it's on my paper and I'm still kind of thinking about the idea of having it hang down and I decide not to, it's now just too short to look good that way. It's just not going to look balanced. So I'm just going to have it be contained within the I Love You paper, which I actually really like because my whole rationale in using the I Love You paper is that I loved how it looked against the craft paper, so I wanted to stay against the craft paper. So now this navy blue paper is going to become my grounding horizontal element in this layout, and I'm layering the chipboard frame here so that it completely covers up the pink paper because I don't want too many distracting things down at the bottom there. I don't want like a little sliver of the pink and then the chipboard. I just want the chipboard there. So because this photo is going to layer over a piece of chipboard, I'm going to use pop dots to hold the photo, and I just stuck one of the pop dots onto the onto the layout right where the photo is going to go, and then the other pop dots I'm going to put on the photo, and that is going to allow me to play around with placement. And then I'll just peel off all of the backings. And I'm actually not peeling off the backing on the far right hand right by my thumb there, so that, see how it flips up, so that I can stick some other things under there if I wanted to. Here comes my tag, which I love so much. I'm going to try to make the tag such that I can cut a little bit off and use it in another place. So I'm trimming down that pink paper even more so that I can tuck the tag in deeper and still see plenty of it, and cut off a little bit right there. That little bit I'm going to use somewhere else. So this is my whole reason for trimming up the tag, and even trimming that pink paper was just to get a little bit more use out of the tag. So I'm kind of tucking that tag in there, and I want this other piece of tag to go somewhere around there, but I'm not entirely sure yet, so I'm going to hold off on making that decision and do something else. Still thinking about it. Now I'm going to do my title. So I have the Amy Tangerine thickers, which came in the kit. They're called Match, and they're in turquoise, and I love them. I love the size of them. So I am going to make the longer word in my title out of these letter stickers because it's a smaller font, so that longer word will fit better on the layout. The word is Clementine. It's the name of a bookstore that we go to. It's called Otis and Clementine, and it's this really quaint, charming, all used bookstores are quaint and charming, but this one is especially comfortable and awesome. We love, love, love it. We don't go there often enough, but we do try to go on, it's a popular after school place for us. We actually give our kids money to spend there as a reward at the end of the week for getting ready easily in the morning. And so after 5 days of getting ready easily, they get one of a couple of different things, and sometimes it's a trip to Otis and Clementine to get a book. So the books there are so inexpensive because they are used, and we're trying to not buy too many brand new things because our kids are really conscious. They're learning in school about the environment and not wanting to use new things and that have been manufactured. Instead, they want to use things that are older. So we're trying to support them in that. They have good coffee there, so it's easy. It's easy for us to support them in that. And of course, we value those values too. But sometimes I'm a bit guilty of going to Chapters and getting a glossy, new, shiny book. But I should really be getting more used books as well. So we're trying to do that. Saves money and saves the earth. So I'm looking for an ampersand here and cannot find one in the kit. Sometimes a kit comes with a nice ampersand, but this one did not, or if it did, I used it already. And I don't think it did come with one. So these wood veneers were right beside me, and an ampersand was looking at me while I was doing this, so I just grabbed a wood veneer. The first one was a little too weird looking. I couldn't figure out how it goes, so I decided to use this more standard ampersand. And I love wood veneers, as you guys know, so this works really well. I love wood veneers and I love ampersands, so that one just was a no-brainer for me. And conveniently, the word Clementine fits perfectly in the space that I have to put the word Clementine. That almost never happens, so I love that. I'm just using a Prima chalk ink edger here in teal damask. I believe this came in a previous kit. It might have been in a kit from about a year ago. I don't know, it could have been from my stash too. I can't quite remember. So I'm going to let that dry while I put these letters down. Trust me, I'm putting the letters down. You can't see it, but it's happening. And I had to play around a little bit with the placement of the I next to the edge of that craft tag, and then spread out the N and the E as a result of that. And I was hoping that the rest of the word would fit because that ended up spacing out the end of the word more than I had it on the wax paper, but it's all going to fit. And I'm just going to go back and move them around a tiny bit more. Not really necessary to be this precise, but I did want it to look fairly lined up and neat. Took an extra moment to pat my cat and make sure that those are really stuck down well, and just applying a bit of extra pressure goes a long way in having those thicker stick. So I've decided to put the ampersand not on the craft tag, which again lets that beautiful craft tag breathe a little bit and get a bit of your attention when you look at the layout. And I think the ampersand actually does a good job of kind of bringing your attention to the tag. So I'm again just kind of playing around with the placement of these chipboard letters, which are from Pink Paisley from the Switchboard collection, so they coordinate with some of the other papers on this layout. And I'm just using my glossy accents to put them down, and I'm just putting a teensy weensy bit so that it doesn't ooze out around the edges. And I find glossy accents has a really great applicator for controlling how much of the product you're putting on your chipboard. So just a teensy little squeeze and then just spread it around, and you get a really nice amount. So here I accidentally put my cut edge instead of the manufactured edge out, and I like how crisp the manufacturer's edge looks because it's perfectly squared off, so I just switched it there. And I really love two things about the way that this is coming together, which I didn't necessarily plan. I mean, I was sort of mindful of it, but it just conveniently came out this way. I really like how the navy blue piece that goes across the middle of the layout is very connected, even though it's interrupted. Like your eye knows that that's one piece of paper. And then I also really like how the craft shows up in a nice triangle eventually, and you'll see that when I add one of the speech bubbles. And I don't always use the triangles and the idea of threes in design, but it is a really surefire way to make your layout look nice and balanced is to do one of those visual triangles. And so I use a couple of visual triangles and groups of 3 in this layout. Right now I'm just going through the Pink Paisley the Pink Paisley switchboard collection of die cuts that came in the kit. That's what's in that silver tray. And I'm just picking out anything. I'm leaving behind anything that has the orange in it. I'm looking for, and look, see how that speech bubble goes there? It just completes that triangle of craft colors, darker craft color. So I'm picking out anything that's pink that I like, and yeah, mostly I'm just looking for pink, and I knew I wanted another splash of the craft, which I got in the speech bubble that has the heart. And I also thought, as I'm doing speech bubbles, I want to use at least 3 of them, and 3 is what I ended up using. So I've got the hello, which is white, which provides nice contrast with the navy blue and pink. Then I've got the pink one up there with the flower on it that provides nice contrast with the I love you paper behind it, and then the craft one with the heart, which provides a nice balance with the other craft elements on the layout. So I've got the 3 speech bubbles, but I also have 3 pops of craft, which includes the speech bubble, one of the speech bubbles. And now these burlap bows, which I absolutely love, they also provide a little bit of more detail on the pop of craft that's down in the bottom right hand corner. And then I just stapled this little die cut in place. I have a tab there that I'm trying to put another set of staples, and then I realized I don't really need another set of staples. Those 2 at the top will hold it fine. Now I'm just going to put this Gal Pals die cut, which is actually from the Teresa Collins die cuts that I looked through after I finished looking through I think I was talking while I did it, but after I finished looking through the Pink Paisley ones, I looked through the Teresa Collins ones, which are the ones that were in my little depression glass dish. So I'm taking out some of my pop dots here. I have them in 2 different thicknesses, and I'm going to pop my speech bubbles up a little bit to give them a little bit of shadow and definition and just a little bit more interest. I'm going to glue down that vellum flower onto the speech bubble. The speech bubble was plain and I just glued it with some glossy accents and pop dotted it up. And I'm using a full thickness, like a thicker pop dot for the craft speech bubble because it has to layer with the photo that's already using that size of pop dots. I'm putting a pop dot on the flare badge that says "for real." I'm gonna put that down right there. Now I have a couple of other Teresa Collins die cuts here that I want to use. I think this one is not Teresa Collins, it's Pink Paisley. It's a little bit too centered there, so I'm going to scooch it over. And it's just sticking. I don't need to use an adhesive because it's sticking to the sticker of the chipboard frame. And then this is another Teresa Collins die cut right here that I'm just going to fill some of this space. I'm going to put some journaling to the right of this Love This die cut, but I just wanted to fill some space because I knew my journaling wouldn't take up that much, and I thought Gal Pals was looking a little lonely there. So here's my journaling. It says, "This used bookstore is a favorite rainy day hangout spot. Reading, playing, sipping coffee, you can't beat that." And I love the interest in this photo. My husband took it and it has lots of books piled up. This place has books piled everywhere. It's just so interesting and fun to look at everything. And it also has this really cool table in the kids book section it's filled with lots and lots of Playmobil, which is one of our favorite toys. Now I'm going to use my roller date stamp. I just have to check my phone and make sure I have the right date on this photo. I knew what day they went, but I couldn't remember the number, so I just looked it up. Now I'm going to show you the color of ink that I use. This is my Stampin' Up. My new favorite roller date stamp color is this light gray Stampin' Up color. I'll show it in a second and I'll let you know what it is. It's Smoky Slate. I think it's an in color this year, so it's not going to be available after the end of next year. So grab it while you can. I'm really loving how this is turning out. This is one of my favorite layouts of recent time. Like I don't even know what it is about it that I love so much. I just love, love, love it. Oops, I put too dark of an enamel dot there. I'll fix that in a minute. It's just, I don't like any one thing to scream at you, unless if it's something, I don't want something little like an enamel dot to scream at you. I don't mind something that I, want to draw your attention to, but that enamel dot is just too noisy. So we'll put the softer blue, and that looks quite a bit better. So now you'll see a little bit of close-up of some of the details on this layout. I did put 3 pops of enamel dots, one by the flare, one on the speech bubble, and then one up on the flower that you see there on the other speech bubble. And there's 3 pops of craft, and there are kind of 3 pops of navy blue as well, even though it's one piece. It's interrupted in such a way that you see 3. So thanks so much for watching, everybody, and have a great scrappy week.